a difference between starting level guys and the next man up. And Kendall mentioned yesterday, he goes, Jerry, I just wonder how long they can keep doing this. How long can a guy go out and they plug the next guy in, and the guy go out and they plug the next guy in? He keeps waiting almost for the other shoe to drop where it becomes too much. But to their credit, it hasn't yet. But you do wonder if, and obviously there's certain guys that are key guys. You lose Hoyer for any significant amount of time. Things like that change your scenario. But he is right. How do they keep doing it? I don't know, because every other season, and I think it goes to the depth that they've had. Still a lot to add to it, though. I mean, you're deep when you're too deep everywhere. The Browns are far from that, but they're a deeper team than they've been in the past. All right, man, yeah. Ryan, let's do some dog bones, man. I'm ready.
Let's get into it, J-Rock.
I'm hungry. Feed me some dog bones. What do you got? Dog bone number one.
All right, so I really love one defensive player in the NFL, and his name is Justin James Watt. This is dog bone number one. J.J. Watt cannot be the X factor on Sunday. So far this season, no NFL team has been able to contain Watt. He's the 2012 NFL Defensive Player of the Year. He's had 6.5 sacks in the last 4 games. It's not the sacks that make one of the most dynamic players, but he's got at least 7 sacks and 7 pass defenses as well. He had 3 against Andrew Luck in that Indianapolis game 4 or 5 weeks ago. Watt is number 1 in the NFL in quarterback hits, fumble recoveries, and pass defenses by defensive linemen. Watt simply has a knack for disrupting opposing quarterbacks' throwing lanes. To me, J.J. Watt represents what I would want to be on the football field. He is just the guy that you want all your 53 players to be. He has that motor. And the man is a game changer. I've watched it time and time again this season. Cleveland's in trouble with Watt this week. He comes from everywhere, J-Rock. He's a left defensive end, but he can come from anywhere on that defensive line. I think Mitchell Schwartz is got his work cut out for him. I think my boy Joel Bitonio's got his work cut out for him. And I think Joe Thomas will have his work cut out for him in the pass protection if he comes from Joe Thomas's side. A key part of this contest, dog bone number 1, is Brian Hoyer is going to have to identify where Watt is at all times. There's not anybody else that really scares me on the Texans than J.J. Watt. And like I mentioned, the pressure comes from everywhere. And I was thinking, and I heard some analysts say, and it's not a bad idea, but when you're in those bunch formations and those 2 tight ends or 3 tight end sets, why not bring in an extra lineman to chip on the outside, where Watt's coming from. So far, Hoyer's done a good job, calling out the pass protection and seeing where the pressure's coming from this year. But recognition of J.J. Watt, J-Rock, he's the number 1 dog bone for me for the Browns to win this game. The guy is a game changer, and he can turn a game. The Browns could be up 10-0, and J.J. Watt could make one play, and all the momentum is fully back on Houston's side. So J.J. Watt is dog bone number 1. Watt cannot be the X factor on Sunday.
Hey, you don't have to sell me on J.J. Watt. He's one of the best defensive players in the NFL. If we weren't playing him this week, I'll tell you he's one of my favorites because he is. He is incredible to watch. I love what he does there. That's the kind of guy that I salivate going, man, I miss having a guy like that on the Cleveland Browns defensive line. That guy that just goes out there and gets the quarterback. And that's it, man. He can cause havoc. He can also change the Browns' entire season if he takes out your quarterback, which he is wont to do from time to time. And I disagree with you about Joe Thomas and those guys, though. I think they're going to be very strategic where they line up Watt. I think they're going to pick their spots. They're going to look to line him up either over McDonald or over, if they put Greco at center, they may line him up over whoever fills in at the guard there. But I absolutely positively expect them to focus on that middle to right side of the line between the guard and the center. That's the area of weakness this week in the Browns offensive line. I think, yeah, you can attack Schwartz too. I'm not the biggest Mitchell Schwartz guy. He has bounced back from last year, but he's all right. I mean, he's all right, man. I like him to an extent, but then he gets pushed around by some guys. I thought he was better. Again, the whole line was better when you had Mack out there calling the signals, and then Greco was able to line up next to him and pick up some of the slack mentally, not just physically pick up the slack, but help Mitchell Schwartz recognize those defenses and stuff. I thought that was a big reason why with that offensive line they were helping him a lot on the end. So, but that could be where they target, but I expect it to be more that right side interior there where they put Watt a lot and just say, you know what, if McCoy could put McDonald in the backfield, let's see what J.J. Watt can do. But more than that, it's the batting down the passes, what you mentioned, because he goes up and gets them. And Brian Hoyer has had a tendency to get him knocked down a few times a game. So watch for that too. I'm sure that Houston's been training that all week. And real quick, off of that, before you go into your dog bones, because I don't know where you're going to go, so I'm just going to throw this out. Something that I'm watching as a sub matchup in this game that's intriguing, and I don't think enough people have talked about it, is on both sides of the ball. You've got familiarity, and I don't just mean Ben Tate used to play on Houston and Kyle Shanahan used to coach over there. No, what you've got is a Houston defense that every single day for how long has practiced against the zone blocking scheme that Kyle Shanahan has installed in Cleveland. So that defense is used to that blocking scheme, and vice versa, although the Browns have only been doing it for this year and Houston's been doing it, but it's the same thing. They practice every day against the same tenants that are going to be coming from the Houston Texans. So both teams have that style that only a few teams in the league use, so they're both really familiar with it. So it'll be interesting to see which team plays that better. I give the edge to Houston in that category because they play against it every day for years, not just since Kyle Shanahan got here. So they are very good at knowing when guards pull this way, when guys move that way, the play may be going in this direction. So keep an eye on that too. Familiarity in both sides of the schemes because they practice against it every day.
That's a great point, J-Rock. And like you said, it sums it up. Houston's been doing it for a while. Browns have been doing it for 1 year. So
Yep.
Yeah, that is a great point. It is actually not one of my dog bones. Dog bone number 2. Now, I fully expect Arian Foster to play. If history shows, Foster, if history proves right, Foster will play this week, especially with the Texans are only 4-5. They're not out of the hunt. They're still in it. To me, Arian Foster, this guy's second in the league in rushing. But dog bone number 2 is, and I put contain Ray Jennings, if anybody knows what that means, for dog bone number 2. In the 2014 fictional film Draft Day, Arian Foster played Ray Jennings. He was that prospect, top-tier prospect who the Browns ended up drafting at the end of the movie. But at this moment, like you guys mentioned earlier, Foster will be a game-time decision because of that groin injury that he suffered against Philadelphia. Reports, ProFootballTalk.com has reported that Foster expects to play on Sunday, despite missing Wednesday and Thursday's practice.
Yeah, he's a gamer, absolutely. But I still, even if he plays, you may have the limited effectiveness. But I'll caution you by saying there have been other weeks this season that he was expected not to play. Game time, they put him out there, and he went out there and did the Arian Foster thing. So, until you show up on the field and he's not out there, expect him to be out there. But,
exactly.
We'll see. But it is the groin. You got to remember.
Sorry,
here's something else with. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say with the groin, you got really cold weather, which is always gonna tighten up ligaments and hamstrings and groins and things like that. So even if he's able to go, he's gonna need to sit on that bike the whole game and keep himself warm, because if he lets it get tight, then you could see a situation where Foster starts and then comes out in the second or third quarter unable to get loose again. So if they do go with him, I guarantee you'll see shots of him on the bench, riding the bike, stretching, walking back and forth, because he's going to have to keep it warm at all times with that cold weather, because that'll tighten it up in no time.
Yeah, and then we'll see your boy Blue, right? So
he's not my boy. I benched him this week, so I don't care what Al Blue does. I'm not playing that guy anymore, man. But he helped me for like 2 weeks, so I got to be nice to Al Blue. He did help my fantasy team win a game or two, so there you go.
J-Rock, to me, Dawg Bone number 2 is the same concept. If Foster plays, which I fully expect him to play, to me, Dawg Bone number 2 is the same concept as it was in Week 6 versus Pittsburgh, and that was limiting and containing the production of Le'Veon Bell, if you remember. Yeah. Just like Bell, I've looked at the stats. Foster is 40% of this Houston offense, so he's a dual threat. That catch and run that he had a couple of weeks ago, where he blew away the safety down the sideline. I thought that was pretty impressive. For being 28 years old, he still has some pretty good speed. Like we mentioned, he's second in the NFL in rushing, 822 yards. Foster's got 10 touchdowns on the year altogether. So containing Ray Jennings, a.k.a. Arian Foster, is Dawg Bone number 2 for me.
I'm with you. Absolutely. That goes without saying. I mean, those are 1A and 1B for Houston, the two guys you just named. So what do you got coming up, the third and final Dawg Bone for the Browns?
All right. Third and final Dawg Bone is going to be, you've kind of touched on it a little bit during the show, but welcome Ryan Mallett to the NFL. With conviction, the Browns must spoil the debut of this Texans quarterback. Head coach Bill O'Brien, he's seen enough of Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he's elected to go with Mallett. Mallett's had 2 weeks to prepare. Houston's dropped 4 of the last 5 games, so they're trying something different. That was after winning the first 2, I believe. We all know that Mallett was once a practice squad member of Belichick, but the reality is Ryan Mallett has thrown 4 passes in his NFL career in the regular season.
Yep.
Mallett's got the arm, and he's got the size to be productive in the NFL, but LG's going to love this one. So did Brandon Weeden.
You're right, though. You're right.
He kind of reminds me of Weeden a little bit in the size and the arm strength. Well, let's see if you have the head to do it now, because we all know that Brandon Weeden should probably not be in the NFL right now. But as far as welcoming Ryan Mallett to the NFL, the Browns have forced 12 turnovers in the last 4 games, J-Rock.
Yep.
And this is going to be a tough task to ask somebody to come in and, he's out, but to ask him to come in and do his first start on the road against arguably one of the hottest teams in the NFL in cold weather Cleveland, I mean, this is going to be tough for him. The Browns also have 9 sacks in the last 4 games. So welcoming Ryan Mallett to the NFL, I think if the Browns can follow Dawg Bone number 2 and limit the production of Arian Foster and take away the running game, I think Mallett is dead in the water. This defense, like you mentioned, has gotten better and better over the last week. I mean, they're not regressing as the season goes on. They're getting better. And Mallett may be their next victim. So Dawg Bone number 3 is, let's welcome Ryan Mallett to the NFL.
You know what? That's funny. When you say they're not regressing, I agree with you. I think back to last year, we talked about, and I remember LG and I talking about this a lot, but when Ray Horton, who loved to tell you how good his defense was, even when the opposite was being shown on the field, he had 800 stats to tell you how good they were. And they were decent up to a point, and then they just quit and fell off the end there down the stretch of the season. But remember, he was all loud and proud. Well, wait until you see where we're at by Thanksgiving when this thing comes together. And then, of course, it just gives you ground to go, yeah, you were worse by Thanksgiving, and then you just kept getting worse. The difference here, I look at what Jim O'Neill was talking about this week, and he pointed out they've quietly several weeks along here from the beginning said, listen, we're not making excuses. We need to be better now. But this defense is going to get better as guys have played in it together for a couple of months and they start to trust each other on the field. And it's a defense that traditionally gets better as the season goes along. But they didn't trumpet that. They didn't keep countering their bad stats and saying, well, it's going to get better. They said, well, we know we got to get better now, but we do know that this thing improves as the season goes